untold truth of Cinderella. Cinderella is one such fairy tale we all loved in our childhood. The magical story of a girl next door marrying a prince and all this happening through destiny was a treat to watch. But do you know that Disney made it all on their own? Yes, the original story of Cinderella was written by the Brothers Grimm. Disney altered their story to make it kids-friendly. The original version has many disturbing sequences. In today's video, we will debunk them all for you. We'll disclose the truth of the most essential aspect of this tale, which is the glass shoes at the end of this video, so stay tuned. Many more versions of Cinderella existed before the Brothers Grimm published their version. There is one where they named Cinderella as Rhodopis. This version is from ancient Greek and Egypt mythology between 7 BCE and 23 CE. Here, Cinderella didn't go to the party, thrown by the king and prince, but an eagle took away one red shoe of Rhodopis and dropped it on the lap of the prince. Prince took it as a sign of destiny. He decided that whoever was the owner of the red shoes would become his queen. So they went into the village in search of the owner of the shoes. Rhodopis was hiding as she feared the guards and the king, but they caught her hiding until they made her try the shoe and it fitted her perfectly as she was the owner of that shoe. There is another version that comes from China dated to about CE 860. It is called the story of Yi Xian. Also, other countries like Malay Indonesian, Vietnam, and many more from Asia, have similar tales passed on. The very first written version of Cinderella was curated by an Italian named Basile in 1634. He was the first one to document oral tales in written forms. His version is the one Disney has opted for majorly. His version is not as dark as the Brothers Grimm version. In the year 1812, the Brothers Grimm wrote the tale of Cinderella. It wasn't a fairy tale, rather it was a dark and disheartening tale. They composed it from the oral tales of Cinderella that were conveyed from various parts of the world. This tale starts with a merchant and his family. They were a well-to-do family. The husband and wife had a single daughter child named Cinderella. Her childhood and teenage years went smoothly, but during her teens, her mother passed away. This changed her life completely. The last words her mother said to her were to be a good and poised daughter. Cinderella's father fell in love with a widow woman after the death of his wife. Soon he married the widow woman. She was not a single lady. Instead, she had her two beautiful daughters along with her. Yes, you heard it right. They were beautiful and not ugly, as described by Disney. The widow's name was Tremaine, and her daughters were Anastasia and Drizella. 3 of them were intimidated by the beauty of Cinderella. They took away all the dresses, jewelry, and other nice stuff Cinderella owned. Made her do all the household chores, treated her like a slave, and all this took place in front of Cinderella's own dad. How can someone lead his own blood into slavery? But this shows that he didn't like Cinderella as if she was an unwanted child. Days passed on, but the slavery of Cinderella was not coming to an end. A morning king of the town announced a ball party for the town. The agenda of the party was to find a wife for the prince. The news flew like a forest fire in the town. Tremaine wanted one of her daughters to get married to the prince. Cinderella expressed she would also want to go to the party, but Tremaine refused, as she was sure that the prince would not consider her daughter over the beauty of Cinderella. But Cinderella insisted that she wants to attend the party. So Tremaine mixed lentils into ash near the fireplace and told Cinderella if she manages to pick out all the lentils from the ash within 2 hours, only then she can attend the party. Cinderella called her bird friends to help her, and the work was completed within an hour. Tremaine asked her to do so again, but this time she asked to pick up all the lentils within just 1 hour. Cinderella again called her bird friends and finished the task within the hour. Even after this, Tremaine refused to hear from attending the party. She gave the reason that Cinderella is dirty, she doesn't have a dress, also she doesn't know how to dance, and because of all this, they would get embarrassed at the party. Cinderella was left behind, and the rest of everyone went to the party. Cinderella was very upset, so she went to her mother's grave and cried a lot. Besides the grave, there was a tree, and a beautiful golden and silver dress came down from the tree with its matching shoes. She quickly wore all this and went to the party. Tremaine and her daughters didn't recognize Cinderella. They thought she was a foreigner. The prince was mesmerized by Cinderella. Both of them danced the whole evening and had conversations through which the prince got to know that Cinderella was not there to marry him. Instead, she was just there to enjoy the party, which made the prince want her even more. As shown in the fairy tale, the prince wasn't a noble and humble man, rather, he was a creep and womanizer. His routine included going on tours in the town and choosing whichever females he liked for the night. Due to this, he had the habit of getting anything he wanted, and now he wanted Cinderella. But as the evening was turning into a darker night, Cinderella was afraid that if Tremaine reaches home before her, she would get punished for not obeying her, so she ran away. The prince was chasing her as he wanted her, but Cinderella didn't stop. While running, one of her shoes came out of her foot. She ignored it and ran to her home. By the time the prince was restless, he wanted Cinderella at any cost. The next morning, guards were sent into the town to find the girls who danced last with the prince. Tremaine thought it was a golden opportunity for her daughters. But Prince didn't even know the name of Cinderella to find her, so he gave her shoe to the guard and asked to bring the girl whoever's foot gets fit into the shoe. When the guard reached Cinderella's home, both her stepsisters tried the shoe, but it didn't fit any of the sisters. This is where Tremaine the mother took Anastasia to the backyard and chopped off her toe with the woodcutter so that her foot could fit into the shoe. But the dripping blood was seen by the guards. They refused to accept that Anastasia was the girl they are finding. Next, Tremaine took Drizella along with her to the backyard and chopped her heel because it was larger to fit in the shoe. The guards refused Drizella as well, and asked if there was any other girl in the house. The father answered yes, but she wasn't at the party that took place yesterday, so the shoe won't fit her. But the guard asked them to let her out. Here comes Cinderella. Guards made her wear the golden shoe. It perfectly fit her as if it was made for her. The guards didn't ask her anything, they just took her with them. Soon it was declared that the prince will be marrying Cinderella. Tremaine thought that both her daughters' lives would become luxurious if they joined Cinderella as her bridesmaid. They could stay with her in the palace. On her wedding day of Cinderella, both her stepsisters stood by her as her bridesmaid. But the birds, who were the only friends of Cinderella, didn't like it. They punished both the stepsisters by damaging their eyes with their beaks. Later on, the prince and Cinderella lived happily, and the stepsisters had to spend their whole life in blindness. This was us explaining the version of Cinderella's tale, which is never shown on the big screen. We will be explaining more such fairy tales in future, so stay tuned with facts, folks, and fun.